won't choose me, they can't stop me. I'm not perfect, I'm not genius. They just hurt me, leave me bleeding. Got here on my own. They've been showing love, but they hate me on the low.
Hello, and welcome to another segment of Behind the Escena. Today we're celebrating International Women's Month, and we're here with a very special guest, Megan Correa, also known as Lil MC. How are you doing, Megan?
I'm so excited to be here with you on International Women's Day.
Thank you for being with us.
My pleasure.
So, I'm very curious to know your story. I know I read a little bit about you. You started off in some sort of battles in Oakland. Tell me more about where you came from and then where you're at now.
So we go all the way back to the inception of my creativity. I started making music when I was 5 years old. I'm born and raised in the Bay Area. My dad's from Venezuela. My mom is from Florida. They moved here. I started off in South San Francisco, and I've kind of bounced all around ever since. Spent a lot of time on the coast, San Francisco, Oakland, Berkeley. But as far as my introduction to music and art, that started pretty much as soon as I can remember. My earliest memories is writing songs, then eventually moving into playing instruments, mostly piano. I dabbled in clarinet, drums, but piano was my first instrumental love.
You're also an educator, right?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
Oh yeah, I started working in hip hop education. Started doing hip hop education work back in 2018 with an organization called Hip Hop for Change. Fast forward, I don't know, what is it, 8 years, and now I'm the program coordinator for that organization. But it all started because one of my good friends and now my partner, Unlearn the World, I saw him hosting huge assemblies in front of 500 kids, and I hated my job at the time. I was really in a low place in my life, and I was like, I just saw this and knew that was my calling. I asked him, what do I need to do to get involved in this? And just kind of worked my way up. And that's what I consider kind of my supplementary job aside from working as an artist.
So, Megan, you mentioned your family is from Venezuela. So, you're Latina, you're a hip hop artist, you're also from the Bay Area. How do all of these different types of identities intersect in the work that you do?
I think that I'm, first of all, very grateful to live in a place like the Bay Area where there's so much cultural diversity, and you don't really see that other parts of the world and even other parts of the country. And I think that plays a large role because when I step into classrooms, I come from a space of, number one, being a woman in a male dominated space. You know, even if there's more equality and more equity in hip hop from women's voices, it's still huge disparities. But I'm also coming from a space of coming from a biracial mixed family. I'm also coming from an immigrant family. So I feel like I have a lot of empathy and different perspectives that allow me to relate to students when I come in there and teach them, but also even on an artistic level. I dabble a lot in different art forms. I'm a producer, I play instruments, I rap, I'm a writer. So I think it just allows me to really like see eye to eye and connect with students that may have completely different life stories, but there's always something that you can meet in the middle on.
And you said something that made me think, in the world of hip hop specifically, for women, it's tough. But for Latina women, there's like even less spaces. Can you say a little bit more about what it's been for you to be occupying these spaces and also really pushing through and like making sure that you're like, hey, I'm here, and I belong here?
Yeah, I have a lot of female Latina rapera role models. The Product is one of them. Beans is another one. Vel 9, that's my homegirl. Like, there's a lot of us out here, but I think that we don't get the platform that we deserve. Luckily, there's a lot of more underground platforms that are giving us voices. But I really think if you want to occupy this space as pioneers, for the most part, we are pioneering this pathway for us. You have to be bold. You have to be strong. You can't be afraid. You just have to kind of like dominate the space. If there's a cipher going on, you can't just wait for someone to let you in because they're not going to. When I started out ciphering and battling, it was just a bunch of men. You had to like elbow your way in there. They're not gonna, treat you like one of them until they see that you can actually hold your own in those spaces. And it just allows me to feel more confident and feel like I belong as I've gotten older. But in the beginning, it's scary. You don't see other people like you.
In the beginning it's scary, but then like you fast forward now and then you have collaborations with Kodak Black. You're performing at South by Southwest coming up, and you've done amazing things like throughout all of your journey. How do you feel from like the Megan, even like 5 years ago, to the Megan to Little MC now?
Yeah, I look back at 5 years. I'm really proud of what I've been able to achieve, and even though maybe I'm not well known by every single person, I get this a lot from my students. Always like, "Are you famous?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know if I'm famous worldwide, but it depends who you ask, right? It's kind of subjective." But even just my journey through sobriety is something that I'm really proud of, because the way I was able to go through all of that healing and then also still maintain a career in hip hop when other people were like, there's no way you can heal, be a mom, be sober, have a career, live in the most expensive place on earth, and do what you love as an occupation. And I was just always never listened to the doubters or that fearful voice in my head. I mean, it's always there. I would be lying if I said it wasn't. But it just always felt a stronger voice inside me that forced me to persevere, because that's my true and honest self. It's the self that I was when I was 5. I've always been an artist. I never denied that voice, because that would be denying essentially who I am. So I think ultimately I'm just really proud that I've stuck with this in spite of so many obstacles throughout my life.
So you mentioned that at 5 you realized that you were a musician. At what point did you actually figure out that your true voice was within hip hop?
Oh man, okay. So in high school is when I went through kind of the most difficult times of my life. Is when I first experienced severe trauma. And as much as I loved art and writing songs, I still didn't feel like there was a space for me to actually vocalize what I had gone through in a way where I was going to be accepted and heard, because my voice was always stifled. When you're a woman and you experience abuse, people don't believe you, especially back in the era where this happened to me. Like, we're in a different time and space. It was always our fault. People were blaming the victim. I didn't. I assumed it was my fault just because of the conditioning that I'd gone through. But eventually it caught up to me, and I was clearly tormented. I was clearly in pain. But when I started really discovering more about what hip hop was, like studying the culture, studying those that were the forefathers and foremothers, I was like, I see a lot of pain in them that I feel in myself. And that's when I started studying freestyling. And it all started when I was 17, and I would just freestyle in the car nonstop all the time. And it became an obsession of mine. And I haven't looked back ever since.
So that's an amazing journey. Thank you so much for sharing that. And now you've recently released a song, Rat in a Cage, with a very famous line by the Smashing Pumpkins. Tell me a little bit more about this song.
I actually wrote that song and recorded it in one of my classrooms. I work in a school called Arise. It's a charter school in Fruitvale. It's actually pretty much 99.9% immigrant students. And I was showing them songwriting and recording, and they were a little nervous. And I said, okay, well, let's record a song together in class. And I brought up this song, and that intro, I actually recorded it in the classroom. I never re-recorded it in the booth or anything. So I just think it's a cool story, because it really evolved from an example of just trying to show my students not to be afraid to record. But it inspired me because I just think it's something that is so current today, even though the song Bullet with Butterfly Wings by Smashing Pumpkins, it's not really talking about immigrants being locked up in cages. But it just, to me, it's such a powerful line, because I mean, look at what's going on to our people outside. Um, the only thing that I really know to do aside from educating youth is using my voice to say something to counteract what's going on and what's being told in the media about us. So
I'm gonna pivot in a weird way, but it sort of follows in line with the narrative that you've given us. Like, you are an educator, you're talking about mental growth, spiritual growth, healing. Then you also have a song that says what's wrong with being ratchet. So you empower and you embrace your sexuality and all of it, that comes with it, even with a story that comes with abuse. That's amazing, and that's very empowering. Can you share a little bit about that journey and how you got there?
yeah, I my artistic journey, my very first mixtape, it's all very introspective. It's very deep. It's almost very emo, and I kind of pivoted to try to make music that was a little bit more digestible while still trying to hold on to a strong message and something that I felt was important to say. So when I made the song with Do Tell What's Wrong with Being Ratchet, it was when I was looking at what was going on in the media, how everyone was really demonizing women rappers for all being hypersexual. And I created a women's empowerment program with my colleague Amani Jade, and we kind of speak on this. Like, the reason why this archetype of women exists is because we had to create this lane for ourselves, and there's multiple different reasons. But one, I would argue, most of these women that probably identify with this archetype have been abused in their life, and they're kind of reclaiming power over their own body and saying, yes, I'm hypersexual, but you can't touch me because now I'm in a safe space where you don't have the power over me. Too is I think that a lot of these narratives get formed by people that are the label owners that want to continue pushing this narrative and objectifying us. So in a way, like there is this negative aspect to it, but there's a positive aspect of women being able to reclaim power over themselves. I think for me, I've shifted a little bit away from that narrative as I've gotten older, because I see how harmful it can be to young women that I teach to constantly be telling them that if you're a woman rapper, you have to have this archetype. But I think there's something powerful in being able to say, yes, I'm a sexual being, and yes, someone actually did harm me and sexualize me younger than I wanted to be, and now you cannot touch me. So I think it's a very nuanced conversation to talk about, and we could go on about it for hours and hours. But yeah, it's an important topic for me for sure. It brought me to who I am today.
Thank you so much for your transparency and for sharing all of this. What is next for you?
Oh, wow, you ask such good questions. I have to take a deep breath every time. I think I have a lot of goals. One is to just continue. I'm very hyper focused on my healing. You know, I've been through so much in my life, and I had to kind of put it on the back burner because I became a mom at a young age, and I was in school, and I had to make ends meet. But now that I feel a little bit more stable and secure, healing, it runs parallel with my artistic evolution because it allows me to see the truth, and it allows me to pioneer a path for myself where I feel like there are ways to open other people's eyes and stay true to your message as you're kind of learning and discovering more about yourself. So I really just want to continue making music that is authentic to me, and reach as many people as possible. And I don't really care about being mainstream or fitting into any sort of narrative. I just want to connect with people that also are on that journey and want to self-heal as well.
Well, I really appreciate all the work that you do. I am a huge fan of all educators. I think it's the most humble role that you can have, and also probably one of the least appreciated,
Yeah.
So the fact that you work with youth and that you bring your authentic self, and you teach all these different lessons, it makes me really happy and empowered to actually meet you as well and to have you with us, and to share your narrative and your story with like all of our audience. So thank you so much, Little MC, for being with us.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to say?
Please do yourself a favor and look up as many underground independent women as possible, because there's so many dope female rappers, especially here in the Bay Area. And even though there's a lot more platforms giving them spaces, please add them to your playlist, buy their merch, go outside and go to their shows, because that's the only way we're going to keep this artistic ecosystem thriving here in the Bay Area, so we don't have to listen to AI music.
And I actually lied, since you said that, do you have like top 3 from the Bay Area that you recommend?
Top 3 women artists in the Bay Area.
Not top 3 in that order, but just like top 3 that you can think of.
Yeah, I mean, Snow the Product is a Bay Area artist. I love her. She's amazing.
I thought she was LA.
She's San Jose.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh my gosh, this is so hard. My girl Frisco Baby, I love her so much. She's just been killing it. I try to invite her to perform with me whenever I can. I just think she's gonna be like the next big thing out here. And then my girl Gina Madrid too. She's insanely talented, and she's also a cultural worker. So Gina Madrid, Snow the Product, Frisco Baby, check them all out.
Pues ya escucharon. Thank you so much, and we'll see you around. Happy International Women's Day to everyone.